You hear that? You should be ashamed.
So I'm sure most of you by now have heard about the Slazo situation, an 800k sub YouTuber who was falsely accused of sexual assault at the age of 19. An accusation that was publicly supported by a bunch of his big YouTuber friends, one of which being 1.6 million sub commentator ImAllexx. Now to be fair, at the time of them coming out and supporting the allegations, they had yet to be publicly debunked by Slazo. But once Slazo did publicly debunk these allegations once and for all, boiling down the situation to him just being a bad boyfriend rather than a rapist, most of these YouTubers either partially or fully retracted their initial support for his ex-girlfriend Shay. But there was a couple people who didn't, and the most outspoken of those people was ImAllexx. Once Slazo released his video, Alex posted this onto his Twitter.
I want to make a statement because of the fact that obviously I came out and supported Shay when she posted her twit longer, and obviously now Michael's video has come out where he's debunked some of the things that were put in there. First of all, I already knew that some of the screenshots that were used in Shay's twit longer were jokes. I was very much aware of that, but I never had an issue with that, and I want to make that clear. Stupid jokes are stupid jokes. I don't think that's the problem. My problem with Michael was him admitting to doing things that he knew Shay may not have wanted to do and being incredibly forceful and almost demanding. I don't believe he's innocent. I don't think he's innocent at all. Shay may not also be innocent and may have hid stuff and used jokes to try and maybe push a certain agenda. But at the same time, the stuff that Michael admitted to is stuff that makes me not want to be friends with somebody who is capable of doing those things.
Obviously, this response caused quite an uproar and kickstarted a discussion surrounding ImAllexx, with the two main discussion points being that he still heavily implied that Slazo was a rapist.
I don't believe he's innocent. I don't think he's innocent at all, being incredibly forceful and almost demanding.
And that he knew there were jokes in the twit longer when he saw them, but still publicly supported the twit longer regardless of that.
I already knew that some of the screenshots that were used in Shay's twit longer were jokes. I was very much aware of that.
Now the biggest question me and many other people have regarding this is why? Why would you treat someone like this who you previously let stay at your house for over 3 weeks? And normally we would have no way of getting the answer to this question. But luckily I was able to get into a Discord call for 5 hours with ImAllexx, where majority of the time he was talking about this situation and his feelings regarding it. Now unfortunately I didn't end up recording this call because I wasn't added to the call to create a video, and recording behind people's backs is pretty scummy, disingenuous, and just generally something I don't think to do. But when thinking back on it, what I learned during that call is just too important not to mention somewhere publicly. And you'll find out why in just a second, but before we get into it, I do want to prove that I was actually in this call. Here's some of the Discord group chat where the call took place. And here's some DMs with me and ImAllexx talking about the call that happened, and proof that it's actually from the real ImAllexx. And I'd also like to point out that in these DMs he mentions a tweet I made announcing that I was going to make the video on him, which he didn't seem opposed to, and he also said it was fine that Nick Diorio, who was also in the call, is making a video regarding the call. That on top of the fact that he said he'd publicly make a video about this if circumstances were different, leads me to believe that he doesn't mind any of this information going public. And regardless of that, I do feel that it is important for people to hear his side of the story, as it sheds an important light on ImAllexx's behavior. Now starting off, the biggest question that's probably on everyone's mind is why does ImAllexx still think Slazo is guilty? And according to him, it stems from a lot of his personal experiences with Slazo in combination of what he said to his ex-girlfriend Shay. It's already been proven that the DMs Shay showed in her twit longer were 100% real, but the severity of these DMs were downplayed when Slazo explained how majority of them were jokes and that he was just being an overly horny and forceful teenage boy in a teenage relationship, and also added additional context showing how he asked Shay if she was comfortable with these messages. Not justifying what he said, but rather vindicating himself of intentions of sexual assault. But there was a particular DM that bothered ImAllexx. Specifically this one where Slazo says, "I don't think I'd say I have rape tendencies, but this is just because we've done it and because I'm so horny at 16-17. I'm thankful for that. And what he argues in these messages is that if you don't have rape tendencies, you would never not mention having rape tendencies. The other two key points that makes him think Slazo does have these tendencies and the potential to sexually assault somebody both stem from experiences he had with Slazo while he was visiting him for 3 weeks. One of those instances is when he was casually talking about all the pedophiles he's had to deal with over the past 2 years. The most notable one that is publicly known is Zaptai. Based on what he said to us in the call, I assume this conversation included him mentioning that he's dealt with over 25 cases of alleged sexual assault against somebody he knows, and that he seems to be the oracle of sexual assault. While talking about this with Slazo for 3 hours, Slazo's responses were almost non-existent, which, looking back on that conversation, leads him to believe that the reason he wasn't so talkative during those conversations is because he's guilty of doing the same thing. And if I'm gonna be fair to Slazo here, Alex does talk a lot. In that 5-hour call with him, he was talking, no joke, 98% of the time. Nobody could barely ever get a word in, and that's not an issue for me. I kind of enjoy listening to people speak for long periods of time, but I think it could be a more reasonable explanation to why Slazo was quiet during that conversation. Now, the last point to why Alex believes these sexual assault allegations against Slazo is based off an experience during a party at Alex's house where a bunch of his friends were getting drunk. Alex claims that one of his friends were hammered and that Slazo was pretty much sober, and he used this opportunity to sexually take advantage of this girl. Now, up until this point, assuming everything Alex said was correct, his reasonings for being against Slazo were pretty solid. I mean, if Slazo really did take advantage of Alex's friend, and then Alex hears about the situation with Shay, it would make sense for him to believe it wholeheartedly based off the behavior he witnessed prior to hearing the allegations. But about a day after that call ended, I found a major issue with that story. This tweet right here. It shows Lewis with a smile on his face taking a picture next to Slazo and the girl. If Slazo was really taking advantage of that girl, do you think he would be sitting there smiling and waving? And do you think ImAllexx would have responded saying Slazo, Slazo, Slazo? Either Alex was lying or ImAllexx supports sexual assault. And I think it's more likely that Alex was either mistaken or lying in that call. And this is what really sparked my idea for this video, and what got me to question ImAllexx as a whole. Based off the way he was acting and expressing himself during that call, there was nothing that indicated to me that he was lying or being disingenuous. In fact, he seemed like one of the most genuine and nice people I've ever met on the internet. But what he ended up saying was a lie. And then after I figured out that lie, I started to think back on a lot of the stuff he said, and there were a lot of other little lies that were spread throughout our conversation. Nothing as big as this one, but a lot of inconsistencies that didn't really match up. If you want to know specifics, I'm going to direct you to a video made by Nicholas Diorio that goes more in depth on everything he specifically lied about. But what I'm personally more concerned about is the intention behind these lies. Is he actually being malicious and lying to my face for 5 hours straight? Or does he genuinely believe the stuff he's saying? I'm leaning more towards the latter, and I'll explain why. Throughout all his lies, ImAllexx has a tendency to see a situation, blow it up in his head or over-exaggerate it in his head, and then make connections based on that over-exaggeration, turning it into a lie. A great example is Slazo being silent while Alex talks to him about the false pedophile allegations that his friends had to deal with. It could have been him just not being that talkative, but in Alex's head, he over-exaggerates that to mean, oh, maybe Slazo is guilty. And then when the Shay allegations are brought to his attention, he connects that experience to the allegations in order to validate them in his mind. He also did this with the drunk friend scenario and with the DM that mentions rape tendencies. But here's the thing. What I just told you is an explanation, not an excuse. Let's not forget that because of these over-exaggerations, Alex is pushing a narrative to his large fan base that someone is a rapist when he has absolutely no concrete proof to back it up other than his own intuition. With allegations as serious as these, you cannot rely on your own intuition. Maybe Alex is so used to hearing pedophile allegations that he just gets used to inserting his own assumptions into these scenarios. But to express those assumptions publicly as fact is just dangerous. And it helps put an innocent man in the position where they're falsely being accused of rape by the entire internet at the age of 19. And you used to call this guy a friend, and he lived at your house, and you didn't even bother to contact him about this. That's what really gets me. You didn't bother to contact him about this once you heard the allegations. You just automatically assumed they were real based off experiences that you over-exaggerated in your own mind. That is not fair to Slazo or anybody else. People come to you assuming you're thorough, assuming you know what you're talking about, assuming that you're not making assumptions regarding rape. And you dropped the ball, and you shouldn't have done that. And the fact that you even have the tendencies to let this spiral out of control as much as it has proves that you're not well equipped to talk about these subjects publicly. And that's my honest opinion. I don't think Alex is malicious, but I think he's extremely ignorant. And I think him being in this commentary environment so consistently in his mind has diluted the severity of false rape allegations. But that's just what I think. I would love to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in another video.